Hi, welcome to Tinfoil Handkerchief Alignment, and today we're going to do a bit of an intro to energetic boundaries for those of you that aren't familiar. A large reason for why I started this channel was to bridge a gap in perspective. The way that I grew up understanding Christianity, it didn't really prepare me for protection against spiritual attack. I also feel like back then I interpreted it more as feeling guilty about my own flaws rather than focusing on the things that I could repair within myself. Chakra alignment as a spiritual remedy hasn't been something known to be associated or accepted commonly within Christianity. The closest things they'd offer in Catholic school, I grew up in Catholic school, were confession, chaplains, or exorcisms. Don't get me wrong. It's not that those things aren't helpful. I'm just saying I find it helpful to have more spiritual tools available for spiritual repair. It doesn't seem as accepted that spiritual health can impact physical health, but I also know a lot of people who have been physically hurt where their mental health deteriorated as a result, myself included. For me, a lot of getting rid of my excess energy when I was younger was heavily tied to sports. But when I got injured, I shied away a lot from physical activity because I was afraid of getting re-injured. So my mental health kind of suffered a bit from that. While it is helpful to work through your personal struggles by seeking advice from others, when it comes to working on yourself and towards your own personal happiness, it all starts within. Advice can be helpful, but it's also important to discern when someone is speaking from a place of not fully understanding your situation. Sometimes we don't fully understand how we feel about a situation enough to explain it to anybody. At least that's what I found I struggled with a lot. I found this was a loop that I was stuck in for a long time. I didn't know where to even try to start healing. And I found it extremely helpful to listen to my body and how excess or lacks of energy impacted my overall mood and the perception of my own self-worth. I also found that there's a lot to support the physical correspondence to mental distress. But again, I am not a professional, so don't take my medical opinion on that. I'm just talking from my own personal experience. Chakras are energy centers within the body. There are 7 main ones that each have a different role within our own biological ecosystem, though they themselves are more about molecules and vibrations. We have 7 vibrational energy centers within our bodies, spanning from the crown chakra at the top of the head to the root chakra at the base of the spine. In between, we've got the third eye chakra, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and the sacral chakra. The more imbalanced or blocked those energy centers get, the more internal conflict we feel, which also lowers our energetic defenses, so to speak, making energetic shifts as new life experiences happen feel that much more emotionally impactful. When substantial shifts in internal energy happen that change the course of your internal vibration, depending on the circumstances, it can lead to feeling complacent to stay at a lower vibration, as if it's not something that can be repaired. By working to rebalance and recalibrate the internal conflict, those energy centers can start functioning so the internal energy is flowing smoothly again. So there's both a scientific and a spiritual aspect to it. Working towards a well-functioning internal energetic system will also help heal your external energy, which helps your interactions with other people, like external to you. And it also helps prevent from spiritual attacks as well as help detect them. Please keep in mind the content of this channel and the things that I'm saying are from my personal experience, as I found that these are the things that have been helpful for me. And as I started to recalibrate my spirit, my overall mental and physical health improved. The services offered here at Tinfoil Handkerchief Alignment are to help restore the flow and alignment of your internal energy. The focus is on internal reflection without having to share or relive painful experiences, while also trying to explain them to someone else who hasn't lived through it. You don't have to explain anything, you just have to be honest with yourself about where you hurt. Energetic attachments can also be a real thing, and the best way to prevent or clear them out is chakra recalibration. It also strengthens your personal auric field. Spiritual attacks attach to holes within our energy. The holes are generally caused by various traumas or moments of hardship and grief. Much of it is unresolved childhood wounds that appear in different ways, which also often reappear as karmic cycles. And recalibrating your internal energy, you can move forward in a healthy, positive way. Childhood wounds can be particularly difficult to heal if there is a generational trauma component to the wound, because then it can be harder to maintain your personal balance. Dark attachments feed on negative emotions, but attuning to the light brings in more positive emotions. I should be clear that to recalibrate your energy, it's very focused on self. Not in a selfish way, but more about becoming the best version of you. The work begins within. Improving self improves the energy external to you. There is some overlap between chakras and bodily functions, which is why it's important to work towards balancing the whole body. Though some chakras may require more recalibration than others, I found it's better to work in layers rather than try to fix one area completely before working through the rest. Especially because as you go through a lot of the different layers of your energy and trying to work through a lot of those imbalances, there are going to be some challenging feelings arise. They don't hurt so much anymore. And some of the reason for that is that the more healed parts will help some of the parts that are less healed to start to kind of repair on their own. Like it's like jump starting. If you are, say, working chakra by chakra, by the time you go from the root and you get to your crown, it's going to be easy to process what you're working through as it pertains to emotional distress within that chakra. Starting is the hardest part, and taking an honest look at yourself is often not fun, but inner peace starts with self-reflection and working to balance our internal selves. So come along for the ride. Until then, keep the peace.